Look, the Rwanda scheme was dead and buried before it started. It's never been a deterrent. Look at the numbers that have come over in the first 6 and a bit months of this year. They're record numbers. That is the problem that we are inheriting. It has never acted as a deterrent.
Sunak's out, Starmer's in. Along with the ousting of the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, the leader of the Labour Party has also ejected several of Rishi Sunak's policies, calling them over-ambitious plans with no real end in sight. Of course, one of the former Prime Minister's more infamous schemes was the Rwanda deportation project. A few days after assuming premiership, Starmer announced that the project was dead and that he would be seeking recuperation from the Rwandan government. Now, Starmer plans on allocating the funds elsewhere, perhaps to meet the needs of the several hundreds and thousands of migrants who are on their way to the United Kingdom as we speak.
The Supreme Court were clear that they were making a judgment about Rwanda at a specific moment 18 months ago, and that the problems could be remedied. Today, we are confirming that they have been, and that unequivocally, Rwanda is a safe country. And today's bill also ends the merry-go-round of legal challenges that have blocked our policy for far too long. So the bill does include what are known as notwithstanding clauses. These mean that our domestic courts will no longer be able to use any domestic or international law, including the Human Rights Act, to stop us removing illegal migrants. Let me just go through the ways that individual illegal migrants try and stay. Claiming asylum, that's now blocked. Abuse of our modern slavery rules, blocked. The idea that Rwanda isn't safe, blocked. The risk of being sent to some other country, blocked. And spurious human rights claims, you'd better believe that we've blocked those too, because we're completely disapplying all the relevant sections of the Human Rights Act. And not only have we blocked all of these ways that illegal migrants will try and stay, we've also blocked their ability to try and stay by bringing a judicial review on any of those grounds. That means that this bill blocks every single reason that has ever been used to prevent flights to Rwanda from taking off. The only extremely narrow exception will be that if you can prove with credible and compelling evidence that you specifically have a real and imminent risk of serious and irreversible harm. We have to recognise that as a matter of law. And if we didn't, we'd undermine the treaty we've just signed with Rwanda. As the Rwandans themselves have made clear, if we go any further, the entire scheme will collapse. And there is no point having a bill with nowhere to send people to. But I'm telling you now, we have set the bar so high that it will be vanishingly rare for anyone to meet it.
Formerly known as the UK-Rwanda Migration and Development Partnership, this agreement sought to relocate asylum seekers who wished to enter the UK via small boats to Rwanda instead. The Conservative government announced the plan in 2022, with Rishi Sunak at the helm of the project, claiming he would be the one to see things through. Under the agreement, some asylum seekers who arrive in the UK illegally can be relocated to Rwanda. The intention is to deter people from making dangerous journeys to the UK by illegal means, such as crossing the English Channel in small boats. Once in Rwanda, asylum seekers' claims will be processed under Rwanda's asylum system. If granted asylum, they will be offered the opportunity to settle in Rwanda. The Rwandan government has committed to providing support, including housing and integration services. The UK government has agreed to provide an initial funding package to Rwanda, which includes £120 million for economic development and growth, as well as additional funding to cover the costs of processing and supporting relocated individuals.
Rwanda is a safe and prosperous country.
Rwanda is not safe. Rwanda is exactly like Russia.
Our new laws will make it crystal clear that Parliament's view is that Rwanda is a safe country.
If you wanted to be safe in Rwanda, you have to keep quiet.
We have a groundbreaking, world-leading partnership. Rwanda, we believe, is a safe country.
Arbitrary arrests, people being killed, journalists being abducted.
Sunak claimed that the Rwanda bill was necessary. Meanwhile, human rights watchers claimed that it was an unethical solution. The former PM's response to the criticism was that it was the only way to safeguard the rights of the average British national, reminding everyone of the financial burden of opening the UK's borders to any asylum seekers. Some estimates claim that the taxpayer is paying close to £7 million a day to provide Home Office hotel accommodation to illegal migrants, as well as looking after their support and meals. Meanwhile, Other estimates claim that the average citizen in the UK has nearly depleted all of their savings, barely having anything to get by themselves. Sunak presented these arguments when presenting the Rwanda bill as necessary action and the only way forward. Now, under Keir's premiership, the Labour Party is arguing that there are other ways to settle the migrant crisis without having to foot a bill for their relocation to Rwanda.
You just said that you are going to end the Rwanda scheme, flights and all. So to be clear, you won't schedule any new flights should you win power, but you won't cancel those already scheduled?
No, there'll be no flights. Every flight that takes off carries with it a cheque to the Rwanda government. I want to scrap the scheme, so that means the flights won't be going, and use the money towards the command, the law enforcement command that I think is vital to taking down the gangs that are running the vile trade of putting people in small boats to cross the channel. We're going to scrap the scheme. We're not going to schedule flights. There will be no flights scheduled or taking off after the general election if Labour wins that general election.
Okay, that's new, so you'll actually cancel flights. No flights taking off if you win.
I think the scheme is a gimmick. I'm not flogging a dead horse. I'm not prepared to do government by gimmicks.
No flights take off under a Keir Starmer government from day one.
No flights, no Rwanda scheme, okay. It's a gimmick.
Natalie Elphicke was by your side today. She's insulted you personally and Labour. She's defended a convicted sex offender and criticised the victims of sexual assault.
Natalie Elphicke has been very clear about why she has crossed the floor. She says the Conservatives are a byword of incompetence and only Labour can take the country forward.
You're ruthless, aren't you?
Yes, I'm ruthless in trying to ensure we have a Labour government that can change this country for the better.
Keir's announcement to end the Rwanda agreement was welcomed by human rights organisations, yet some questions remain unanswered. Namely, what will happen to the massive influx of migrants now that the UK has relaxed its immigration policy yet again? That, plus, what would happen to the average citizen that's been bearing the brunt of mass migration into the country? Does Keir have a plan? Is the real question.
This is their phrase, which is designed to sort of stave off any criticism of anything they do, so that they'll say basically, well, if you're criticising us, you must be a horrible person, because a government of service is all about helping everyone. How dare you stand in our way?
Yes, well, they've been sort of dry running this test for about 14 years. If you don't like almost anything, you're a horrible person. If you're sort of slightly to the right of Tony Blair.
Yes.
This is obviously how they're going to do it, and you can also just see they're talking about reviewing various different government departments. You can also see that there are many different things coming down the road that they're going to sort of turn around and try to repackage. Effectively, the Labour government is going to try and form a form of austerity, but austerity with niceness built in.
Yes.
It's going to try to be humane austerity.
Yes.
There's going to be no money, but we're going to tax you very high. But it's a different kind of austerity. Tory austerity. That was nasty austerity. This is very progressive austerity.
Critics of the new Prime Minister claim that he does not. They believe that Keir is saving face with the international community by allowing migrants into the United Kingdom without any real plan for what happens next. Rwanda, for example, claims that they will not recuperate the UK for the money that's already been sent to them as part of the agreement. Instead, they're claiming that the African nation didn't renege on its part of the deal. This is wholly the UK's problem.
You're sitting there with tens of thousands of people. But just
when
let me
illegal
finish.
migrants come to our country, what will you do with them?
Processed their claims.
It's a very simple question. I can tell people what I will do with them. I will put them on planes to Rwanda because they shouldn't be able to stay. What will you do with illegal migrants who come to our country? What will you do with them? It's a simple question.
His plan is
what will you do with them?
They need to be processed at the moment.
Processed?
They're not. These
which
claims
means giving
are not
them,
being processed.
to be clear, will mean most of them will be given asylum. They will get the right to remain in this country.
At the moment, 100% of them are effectively being granted asylum in this country because they can't go anywhere. They can't go anywhere. They cannot. The Prime Minister knows this, and if he thinks I'm wrong, he should say so. Because they're not being processed, they cannot be returned to where they came from. Can they, Prime Minister? If he wants to correct it, now's his chance to cannot be returned.
About where well, do you know where these people come from?
No, he's not answering the question.
Do you know where they come from? Iran,
you can see.
Syria, Afghanistan. So when Keir Starmer says he's going to return people, is he going to sit down? Are you going to sit down with the Iranian Ayatollahs? Are you going to try and do a deal with the Taliban? It's completely nonsensical.
Keir claimed that the Rwanda bill was never an actual deterrent in the Labour Party's plans. He said that the bill was dead before it even reached his premiership, implying that it would have never gone into full effect. While that may be, Keir is now left with an influx of migrants on small boats headed toward the UK via the English Channel. Does he have a plan for them? Keir's immigration policy so far is to stick to the point system and decrease dependence on migrant workers by training more British nationals. So far, the Labour Party's immigration policy is more focused on legal migration and ways to reduce the influx of migrant workers. The question had always, however, been about illegal migrants, and it seems like Keir's governance doesn't have a set plan in place, at least not yet. Some estimates suggest that over 100,000 asylum seekers are on their way to enter the UK in 2024. Under Labour, the UK would hand over asylum seekers to the Home Office, repeating the cycle of having them stay at Home Office hotel accommodation on the taxpayer's dime. Should their applications be accepted, they would be eligible for refugee status. Should it not, they would have to return. But most asylum seekers find ways to stay in the UK regardless. Is Keir doing right by the British people?